Do you know what time it is, Michael?
Time for your medication, Father?
Wrong! It's time to answer people's questions.
Very well. Let's get to it then. But I'll be forcing those pills down your throat afterwards, Father.
God help me. Dispenser Builder asks, how did you hit both towers? Simple, really. I piloted both planes.
I think he's asking how you were able to pilot both, considering they both exploded upon impact, Father.
Next question. Fluttergabe asks, William, how do you feel about being in Dead by Daylight? I love being in Dead by Daylight, Fluttergabe. I get to make people suffer for all eternity. What more could an aubergine man ask for?
Somerman asks, Mike, is it purple? I'm not dignifying that with a response.
The answer is yes. Next question.
Pepsi Aborted asks, Spring Boy, how does it feel to be replaced by something that acts like you, but is better in every way? Referring to the mimic. He also asks, Mike, have you tried your father's pills yet? They look really fun.
Ain't no way they said the mimic is better than me.
No, I haven't tried my father's pills. I have no need to, but I know that they were specifically designed to really only be effective on him. My father has a very particular condition, to say the least.
The mimic is literally just a copycat. Bro couldn't even successfully mimic his creator, let alone me. I mean, it doesn't even sound like me. Chrysis asks, why did you marry Mrs. Afton instead of just being with Henry? Or did you do both? The answer is both at the same time.
What you mean by that?
Joven asks, did you get spring-locked, down there?
Oh, I'm dying to know this one.
Unfortunately, yes. My balls were crushed by the spring locks. It felt like having to scratch your balls in public, but not being able to do so because there's people around. It was agony, Michael. Agony!
Protoglam Freddy asks, Michael, what's the longest time your father didn't take his medication? Well, usually I'm pretty good at making sure he does take his medication on time. But if I had to guess, it would have been when he was trapped in that safe room for all those years.
Rover Not Here asks, William, do you still care about Elizabeth and the crying child? And Michael, do you want to burn your father again? Who the hell is Elizabeth and the crying child?
Those would be your other children, Father.
Oh, right. I forgot I had those. Hopefully that answers your question, Rover.
Also, yes, I would very much like to set him on fire again. King Fofo asks, Michael and William, what's your favorite scary movie? Well, mine is Evil Dead 2. It's a very fun movie.
Mine is Morbius, Michael. It terrified me to boredom. Next question. Axo to the Maxo asks, Springtrap. I'm stuck on a math problem. See, I'm trying to count, but I don't know what comes after. 5, but before 8. Any ideas on those two numbers?
Please don't.
6, 7, Michael.
This will be the last question for today. Caliperette asks, Willie, what's your top 3 favorite Death Note characters? What are your favorite pizza toppings? They also ask, Michael, do you have to take any medication to deal with your dad? Does knowing your father is a green corpse furry affect your mental health? Also, what was it like being inhabited by Ennard?
My top 3 Death Note characters are L, Light, and Pepperoni.
Every so often I take ibuprofen because dealing with my dad gives me a headache, but knowing he's a rotten corpse trapped inside a rabbit costume doesn't really affect me. Even before he got stuck in that thing, he used to casually route around the house. As for the Ennard thing, I could feel it moving inside of me, controlling my every action. But strangely, there was no pain, not after that single moment.
Gay! Anyway, thanks for asking questions, everyone. Our apologies if we didn't get to yours in this video. But if this video does well, we'll be sure to answer more questions that were left for us in the future.
As per usual, don't forget to springlock that like and subscribe button, and maybe leave a comment if you're feeling generous.
Just remember, I always come back.
Yeah, we're not quite done yet. Hello everyone, it's me, the guy, the mastermind, the dude who makes these videos and does the silly Springtrap impression. We actually are going to be answering a few more questions that were specifically directed at yours truly. I wanted to save them for after the Springtrap and Michael questions, just because I think it'll flow better, and this makes editing the video much easier for me. Some of the people that left questions for Springtrap and Michael did leave questions for me too, so we'll be answering those parts first. Pepsi About It asks, how the hell does your voice not get raspy as hell? Give it time, and it very well might, but I try to drink a lot of water whenever I'm doing the Springtrap voice, and I will take small breaks. Springtrap tends to be more intensive on the vocal cords, of course, but we'll probably get to that in another question soon. Calipert asks, what inspired you to create this content? How did you learn voice acting? Any tips on the Springtrap voice? So, last I checked, I believe I've had this channel for about 3 years now. For those who are familiar with my channel, you might know that it's always been FNAF-centric mostly. I've done FNAF SFM animations, FNAF theories, played FNAF games, yada yada. After Springtrap was added to Dead by Daylight, there were a lot of memes involving him interacting with other characters in the game, particularly other licensed killers like Kaneki, Chucky, etc. The concept of Springtrap to this infamous, cruel serial killer casually talking to other horror icons and talking about present day trends, even though he's an old man from the 80s. It was always a concept I thought was really funny, and something I considered ever since he was added to Dead by Daylight. What actually prompted me to do it, though, was an animation I did a bit ago that did really well. It did very, very well, surprisingly well. It was an Afton family animation that took off via short form specifically, and that's when I realized I could kind of capitalize on YouTube Shorts and the idea I've been sort of stewing on and sitting with. As for the voice acting, I am by no means an official voice actor of any sort. It's something I have thought about a bit ever since I started doing these videos, but I'm not an actual VA. As for the advice for the Springtrap voice, I mentioned it before, but you'll probably want water nearby to stay hydrated. The way I do Springtrap tends to put a strain on the vocal cords because, realistically, his strungs, that's a new one. His lungs were impaled by metal. Even in his voiced appearances, PJ Haywood is the actual voice actor for Springtrap, by the way. Awesome voice. Even in his voiced appearances, some lines Springtrap says sound forced and even struggled, particularly the longer lines, of course. He also tends to talk with a death gurgle, which can be very hard to keep up throughout an entire sentence. Sometimes what I do to supplement that is that, you add like a growl effect almost with your own voice, like a and it simulates the concept of a death gurgle. But as with anything, practice makes perfect. Be careful though, because it is a voice that can fry your vocal cords. Sorry in advance if I get this name wrong. Entkama PL asks, do you voice the characters yourself? Believe it or not, yes. I do in fact voice both Springtrap and Michael. However, there are certain characters I do get somebody else to voice. For example, Oswald from that one short I did isn't actually voiced by me. That's voiced by one of my friends whose name is Colt. Draco Ramp Nix asks, are there any other voices you can/like to do? Or do you just like voicing Michael and Springtrap a lot? Technically yes. Like I said before, I'm by no means an official voice actor, but I have toyed around with different impressions.
I can do a decent Squidward tentacles.
And I have been practicing other voices, such as Scar from The Lion King, and Albert Wesker from Resident Evil. 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you. I can kinda do a solid Mickey Mouse too. But considering that my channel is FNAF-centric, I don't tend to have the opportunity to do other voices. That's not anyone's fault, of course. If anything, it's my own fault for making these Springtrap and Michael videos. But since that's the content people come for, of course, I tend to gravitate toward doing those voices more often than not. I do enjoy voicing both of them, of course, but I might look into adding some variety to that mix in the near future. Last question. Talon Lorakus, sorry if I said that wrong, asks, how hard is the Springtrap voice on your voice? It really varies because I think I kind of have a few different Springtrap impressions. If you've watched my live streams, you may have heard me say a few lines and whatnot in what sounds like a Springtrap impression, and that would be because it is. However, I wouldn't say it's the same impression I use for the actual videos. That's a version of my own impression that's usually easier to do on the spot. Whenever I do the videos, I usually spend at least 10 to 15 minutes warming up before actually recording any lines. On occasion, I have gotten my throat a bit roughed up after doing long recording sessions, where I really tried getting into the voice. It's definitely a voice that takes a lot of effort and practice, at least for me, of course. The hardest part is trying to make him sound at least vaguely British, because I myself am not British. That part is very difficult for me, and more often than not, I'm pretty sure my Springtrap impression doesn't really come off as British, but I do make an attempt. A neat trick I have learned is that since Afton is British, he tends to add an to the end of certain words. For example, instead of saying,
I will make you suffer, suffer like so many of the others,
he'll say,
I will make you suffer, suffer like so many of the others.
Michael does something similar too. Instead of saying father, he'll say father. In both instances, you'll notice those words are words that end with ER. Now, let me preface that I am not a linguistics expert. This is just the method I've been using to help me try and replicate a rough British accent. It's not like the word father is spelled differently in the UK, it's just that they tend to pronounce things softer than Americans do. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Thank you to everyone who left questions, and I am sorry to those who might have not gotten their questions answered. There were a lot of questions, more so than I thought there would be, literally hundreds. But as Springtrap said himself, if this video does well, then I'll certainly make another. In any case, I hope you have a good day or a good night, whichever it is for you. Without further ado, I will see you all next time, and remember,
I always come back.